there. Let's turn to the sad death of Charles Kennedy today. Now, there's never a death of a 55-year-old that isn't a shock. To wake to the news of the passing of Charles Kennedy this morning, though, was particularly sad. Sad, of course, because he had achieved great things for his party, but had been swept out of the Commons last month by events beyond his control. Sad, too, because, as we all know, he was ill. He'd been fighting the bottle for many years. A lot of kind words have been said today about the man. We'll try not to simply repeat them, but such words are due, and we will offer some. But we'll also try to understand the pressures on him and the direction he took his party. First, filmmaker Michael Cockerell knew him well and takes this look at his qualities as a political leader.
Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News for You? My name's Charles Kennedy and tonight I'm in charge. People of Britain, get used to it.
Charles Kennedy was the baby of the House of Commons in 1983 when he was first elected at the age of just 23 and witnessed his first Queen's speech.
Very impressive indeed and very enjoyable, but frankly I think I'd probably have seen more watching it on BBC television. I watched the Queen's speech from a vantage point behind Ian Paisley's head, and that doesn't give you perhaps the best view of things. I'd probably have been better watching it in a box, but very privileged and nice to be part of it.
Charles Kennedy became an integral part of the Commons, and his last big TV appearance was in the documentary series I made that went out this spring.
How are you today?
Very good, sir, yeah, very good.
Good, good. Looking forward to the recess?
Not half.
No, I have. You may say that, I couldn't possibly comment.
Charles Kennedy liked to decode the iconography of the images which adorn the central lobby of the Commons.
The four patron saints are at each of the exits. St George for England, above the entrance to the House of Lords. Why? Because the English are obsessed with the class system and getting on. St Patrick for Ireland, above the exit. Why? It's obvious. The Irish just want to get out of the whole setup. St David for Wales, above the entrance to the House of Commons. Why? Because the Welsh love the sound of their own voice, whether it's speaking or singing. And guess what? St Andrew for Scotland, above the entrance to the hospitality area.
Kennedy was consciously making light of his own problems with alcohol that had dogged his leadership of the Liberal Democrats.
Some of his critics are no longer prepared forever to hold their peace, with some colleagues suggesting that his love of the good life is loosening his grip on the party. How much do you drink?
Moderately, socially, as you well know.
You don't drink privately?
Well, what do you mean privately?
By yourself, a bottle of whiskey late at night?
No, I do not, no.
Every trip around the Commons is still something of a voyage of discovery for the former Lib Dem leader.
That is a cigar lighter. Well, all these years I've been walking past this and I've never really paid much attention to it at all. If that's the lighter, it must have been a hell of a size of cigar. Must have had Churchill in mind, eh? And then the members' cloakroom, which pretty much lives up to its name. It's the cloakroom for the members. I suppose the only idiosyncratic feature are these pinkish ribbons. And would you believe this is for honourable and right honourable members, once they've hung their coats, to hang their swords. There you are. I have to say I've never seen one of them used in all the decades I've been here, but if you wanted to avail yourself of the opportunity, this is the place to come.
The highlight of each parliamentary week is Prime Minister's Questions. It starts with the Speaker's procession.
Hats off, strangers!
I think that and the acoustics in here, you get a natural silence. I'm talking in a whisper out of reverence already.
Behind the ceremonial scenes, party strategists from the government and opposition are at work as Commons choreographers. Each week, Cameron's Parliamentary Private Secretary Gavin Williamson circulates an email to Tory MPs encouraging helpful questions.
It's always so obvious when somebody's just been handed, you know, read this out, and it's pathetic. I mean, I just can't understand how anybody wants to get elected to a parliament, to any representative body, but least of all to the House of Commons, and then just be handed out a couple of sentences written by somebody else and say, read this out. Doesn't the Prime Minister agree he's doing a great job this week and will do an even better one next week? What is the point?